there, memory keepers. Welcome to another process video, scrapbook process video. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Canada. And today I'm going to share the process of creating a layout documenting these photos. So since the coronavirus hit, we have been watching a lot of Netflix for the last few months. So I printed a photo featuring 6 of the shows that we've watched, but there's been quite a few more. So I'm going to do a 12 by 12 page kind of talking all about the shows, listing the shows that we've watched and kind of documenting how much we've been watching. Although now that the weather is a little bit warmer, it hasn't been as much. But so I've got those photos, which I had printed a 4 by 6, and I use an app, I believe it's called Pick Stitch. I will post the name of it in the description below, just confirming that I've got the name right. And I just plopped the 6 photos in, printed it. There was a little bit of a white border in between, but then I separated them and did them like strips, because I think I'm going to put them, the O on Ozark kind of got cut off, so I think I'm going to do it kind of like that. And then the other thing that I wanted to do was, I am in the midst of planning my next mini creative retreat, which focuses on the Boho Indigo product medley from the annual catalog. And I have lots of these left, and they are great for sentiments on cards, but I know that I probably won't use a ton of them. So I was trying to come up with a creative way to use them, and I thought it would be perfect to do a border down the side of the page. And in each label, I could list a different show that we've watched. So I thought that'd be a fun way to document it. So I kind of have them kind of laid out here. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes. I'll speed this through so that you don't need to watch it all. But I'm going to stick this down. And what I'm sticking it onto, it was a 12 by 12 piece of vanilla cardstock. And I just kind of tore it, because these are all the labels that I had left. So I didn't want to make it a full 12 by 12, so I just kind of did a border down the left-hand side. So I just tore the edge. So, and these are great labels because they've got like a gold border around them, which is so pretty. Okay, so now that all those are stuck down, so this one has a little thing in here that you can pop out and turn into a tag. That will likely get covered over. If not, I didn't put adhesive underneath there, so I can just kind of pop it out and add some ribbon if I want to. Now, I've got a piece of ribbon. This is the navy blue ribbon that is also in that product medley. You get 2 spools of ribbon, this one and a gold one. So I want to pull the blue, because there's lots of blue in the photos. So I want to pull that in. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive behind here. And I'm going to add a couple mini glue dots to the ribbon, just to make sure that the ribbon sticks down. And then this 12 by 12 piece of patterned paper that I'm using it's Bumblebee in color, and the mini glue dot just came off on my finger. It's Bumblebee in color, and it is from the World of Good DSP. So it's got like a grid pattern and some almost like distressing on it. I love it. I've used a couple sheets of this patterned paper already. So then I'll just flip this over. This is a bit long, so I'll just trim that. So you can see the back is this fabulous foiled travel themed paper. Don't really have a ton of travel photos at the moment since we can't go anywhere. And I love the other side so much. Okay, so there's the base of my layout. Now I want to do some stamping on here. So I was kind of thinking, okay, what kind of stamps would work well with this? So I'm thinking that this will go kind of like that. And I was looking through my collection, and in the August to December mini catalog, we have this fabulous set. It's called Coming Home. It's actually a bundle with the Home Together dies. So if you purchase it as a bundle, you can save 10%. And it is so cute. So in the holiday catalog, or in the catalog, it shows mostly Christmas themed. And when you look at the patterned paper, it seems very Christmas themed. However, the back side of almost all of these patterns, there's a couple that are Christmassy. They're very generic, so you can use them anytime. But the stamp set is not necessarily Christmassy. So it's got houses on there, and yes, you can add the Christmas trees, you can add the snowflakes, you can add the wreath to make it a bit more seasonal, but you don't have to. So I thought that that would be perfect because we are staying home a little bit more. And I just thought it would be the perfect stamp set. Plus, I love that when you purchase this stamp set, $4 from every stamp set sold will be donated to charities devoted to adoption, foster care, and infertility. So I thought that that was a great cause. So I've gone ahead and I've pulled out these 3 house images, and I'm going to stamp them in the background on the yellow with the same colored ink. So I'm going to use Bumblebee on Bumblebee. I'll just grab a scrap piece of paper to stick underneath. And then I'm just going to kind of stamp just so that I have, you know, just a few houses around the background. And it's great because the paper is grid paper, so it's pretty easy to get it straight. I might do another one up here. Oh, I apologize if my head's in the way. Oh, it's tough to see the grid in this section. So I have a class that I'm working on coming up that is all focused on using stamps in your scrapbooks, because I've found that I was kind of getting away from that. I was scrapbooking so much and I wasn't using a ton of stamps. And stamps are great for scrapbooking. So I decided to do a class focused on that in September. So I'll post a link in the description to where you can find all of the details for that class if that's something that interests you. Okay, we'll do another one here. Okay, so I'm happy with that. It just adds a nice subtle background without being too much. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and stick these down. I'm gonna try to position this flat one first. This one's gonna have to go up on dimensionals on part of it. So I'm gonna try to figure out my positioning for this. Okay, I think I like it like that. So I have gone ahead and mounted these photos onto, you can see, it's a bit of text paper. One of my friends, she knew that I would be documenting kind of living through a pandemic kind of thing. And so she was at Costco and she got me this book, The Flu Pandemic and You. And she knew that I probably wouldn't read the book, and that's not why she bought it. But she included this little note and suggested that I tear out pages and use it in my coronavirus album. So I thought that was a great idea. So I tore out a couple of those pages. There's actually some really interesting information in there, but I tore out a couple pages and just added the photos onto those pages and then trimmed so that they'd have just a little bit of a border. And then I just kind of used my finger and roughened up the edges just a little bit. Okay, So just making use of all of these things, trying to use things up. I love to get the most use as I can out of all of my supplies. I don't like to waste. And I love to stretch my supplies. So if I can use my stamps for card making and scrapbooking, that just makes it even better. So I added a couple dimensionals on this side and then flat adhesive on the other side because we've got the bulk of the ribbon on the one side. I think I'll add another dimensional right under there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to create a couple clusters of things. So again, I'm going to go to my houses. So I'm just going to set this aside for just a second. And I'm going to pull in a piece of vanilla cardstock. So I'm using vanilla because this piece here is vanilla and all of these labels are vanilla. So I'm going to try to stick with the off-white. And I'm going to bring in my Memento ink. And I'm going to stamp those 3 houses. I guess I should clean my stamp first. Okay, so I'm going to stamp one of each. And I'm using Memento ink because I want to color them in using my Stampin' Blends, which are my alcohol markers. And I'm okay to do that because the accents will be nowhere near my photos, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, oh, and the last thing I want to stamp is there is an adorable little car in the set, so we're going to stamp that as well. Okay, so now we are going to color in our images. I'm going to use a combination of colors. So I've got Balmy Blue, light and dark. I've got Light Night of Navy. I've got Smoky Slate, the combo, Real Red, the combo. Those are the colors that I'm going to use, and I'm going to color in all of these images. And then I will go ahead and cut them out using the coordinating dies. Okay, so I'm back and I've got my images colored in and cut out using the coordinating dies, and you can see that the little house that I stamped, I put on top of the tall narrow house, and I popped it up using dimensionals. That just gives it a bit more depth and adds some dimension and some interest to the house. And then I've got my wider house and then my car. So I've got 2 red elements and then the 1 blue element. So I'll bring back my page here. And this guy, I guess he's going to get covered over. Actually, maybe not. Maybe I'll do it down a little bit lower. And I'm thinking this guy's going to go over here. And then I want a touch of red here. And okay, the other thing that I have is I have all of these printables that I found towards the beginning of this whole coronavirus thing. There were several businesses that were offering free printables, and in the description below I'll post a link to the site where I found all these printables, but I've got several here. So I'm hoping that I will remember who these are from. So I think this one and this one, I believe, are from Cocoa Daisy. And then this one and this one are from, I believe it was Carrie Bradford. I'm pretty sure it was Carrie Bradford. So like I said, I will post a link to all of that. There was also, and I just realized that I forgot to pull it out, there is one that Stampin' Up! Came out with in a digital download that they had available for a limited time. And it said something about Netflix and something about I've reached the end of Netflix or something like that. And I thought that that would be perfect on here. So I'll have to get that afterwards and add it in. But some of these little things, what I want to do is I'm thinking I will do, let me make sure that this is in the camera here. So something like this, and stay at home, and then have my house popped up there and the car popped up kind of right there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for a cluster right there. And then I still need to consider this guy can go over here to bring in some of that blue. So that still gives me enough room to write on there and on there. This one we'll see where it goes. Okay, and then my title. So I am going to, my title's going to be Binge Watching. And I've gone ahead and I've used the Playful Alphabet dies and our foam adhesive sheets. So what you do with that is you take a piece of cardstock. Let me grab a piece and I'll show you. So you can take a piece of cardstock and you cut a piece of the foam adhesive so that it is slightly narrower than your cardstock. If you were doing lots of letters, then obviously you would do more than this. So that is slightly smaller. You don't want it to overhang because then the glue gets on your cutting pads when you run it through your die machine. So that's why I suggest cutting it a little bit smaller. So I've got that on there, and then I would flip it over and I would put my die over top, run it through my die machine, and then I end up with, it's like a puffy sticker. So instead of having to buy them in all different colors, you can just purchase a die set. You never run out of letters. You can do it in whatever color you want. It's just perfect. That's one thing that I love about dies and stamps. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've done that for the word watching. And then I want to do binge. Let's see, maybe do I want to move it down here? I didn't like that gap that was right there. Yeah, I think that might be better. Okay, and then for my title, for the other word in my title, I always like mixing fonts. So I'm going to use this alphabet set. It's called the lined alphabet set. It's not one that we carried anymore. It retired just this past June. But I'm going to use it and I'm going to stamp right on here the word binge, and I think I'm going to do it in red, so then that pulls in a third spot for that red color. Okay, so we've got all that done. Now I can go ahead and I can attach my letters for the word watching. So I specifically didn't stick those down until I did the word binge, just in case I needed to kind of juggle around. And it's a good thing because I forgot about the tail of the G. So I needed to move those letters a little bit. Okay, I love how this is coming together. Okay, and then the last thing that I have, I still have to attach my embellishment. Do I want to include that up there? It's not, they're not all movies though. Some of them are TV shows. I think I'm going to leave that off. Okay, let's go ahead and attach our embellishment clusters here. then I think the only thing that I have left would be just to add my journaling and the list of TV shows. So I will do that, and then I will share the finished layout with you. And here's the final page. So I went ahead and I added a bunch of the different shows that we've watched and just a little bit of journaling, and there, the page is done. I'm so happy with the way it turned out. It's so fun to play around with different ways to use stamps. And if that's something that interests you, if you have lots of stamps and maybe you're a card maker but you don't really use them in your scrapbooking, then be sure to check the scrapbooking with stamps class that I have coming up. The link is in the description below. All right, so thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you aren't yet a subscriber, I'd love for you to subscribe. All right, take care.